We're finally at the point where the book is coming out. Designing for Modern Learning Beyond Addie and Sam. Got a beautiful cover. The book isn't in my hands yet, but it is coming soon. And I wanted to take a moment to share a little bit about my journey in L&D and what brought me to this project. So before all of this world of speaking and organizational consulting, I was actually an engineer. That's what I studied for. That's what I was doing in my full-time job. Well, fast forward a little bit, I started realizing that I had a different passion, and it wasn't for solving machine problems, it was for solving people problems. So my very first legit official role was as a global training manager for engineering and manufacturing. And that was the first time I started working on people problems full-time. So after a while, of course, that transitioned to who I am today, working on OD and speaking and consulting with organizations. But I've always had a passion and a place in my heart for L&D. I really think that learning is what motivates many people to come to work, to grow their careers. And today, I think learning is really important for businesses to keep on succeeding. About 5 years ago, the Association for Talent Development came to me and asked if I would design a workshop for modern learners. At the time, I was really focused on explaining the millennial generation and helping different generations understand one another. So they thought, okay, great, this is going to be a workshop about millennials. Well, not so fast. I pulled in a colleague of mine, Lisa Owens, and we started really talking about modern learning. We're both engineers. We both ended up in the L&D space. And so we were bringing this engineering kind of mindset to this learning problem. And that's how Learning Cluster Design was born. For the last 5 years, we've been teaching a workshop around this. We've been testing and validating this model with clients. And now, of course, we're coming out with the book. We could not be more thankful for ATD's support during this whole process. From Ann Parker from the outset of the project, to Clara Von Inns, to Eliza Blanchard, supporting all of our work, helping people get exposed to the model, and then really pushing us to see who else we could test it on, who else we could validate it with. We've had a really great time working with our editor, Catherine Stafford, on the book in particular. She's really pushed us to make sure it's as powerful as it can be. And we're looking forward to continuing to work with ATD in the future. Writing the book was a labor of love. You don't write a book unless you've got a real reason to do one. And when it came to writing a book for this, all it's been about is our mission. Our mission is for learning clusters, for the learning cluster design model to be the norm in organizations. Rather than delivering training programs, we want every organization delivering learning clusters. So at a certain point, we were thinking, well, there's only so many people we can reach through the workshop. There's only so many clients we can do learning cluster projects for. How else can we put the power of learning clusters in people's hands? And that's really where the book came about. Learning cluster design model is a new way of doing L&D's job. In fact, it's actually even proposing that L&D's got a new job. We're used to thinking of L&D as send people to training, take a set of videos and watch those. That's not really how we learn today. So the LCD model is about a new job for L&D, and that is to create multiple learning assets that work together across the flow of work. It could include classroom, but it also includes all the ways and places and times people might learn outside of formal programs. So at its heart, the LCD model, it's about a new job for L&D, and it's a new way of accomplishing that job. The primary user of the LCD model is usually our L&D managers, chief learning officers. That's because it doesn't really make sense if just one person on your L&D team is creating learning clusters. Where we've seen this model have the most impact is when an entire learning function starts to decide, this is what we want to create. This is what we want to be known for. This is what we're delivering. Of course, then you want each of your L&D team members to be skilled in the learning cluster design model. It's also very interesting when other people outside of L&D are introduced to this model. We've seen even CEOs look at this model who are interested in building a learning culture in their organization. And just the idea of, what if I was asking L&D to create something different than I used to, makes a huge difference. In terms of applying the LCD model, we've used it in various places. This is appropriate across industries, across different sizes of companies. Oftentimes we'll see customers, just like for your normal L&D programs, use it within a certain function. So we've actually built learning clusters for companies like Gorilla Glue, Paycor, General Mills. We've had participants from our workshop implement it at their organizations. A few from those that we feature in our book, we've got folks from Visa who've built learning clusters, folks from Bluescape Software. So there's a bunch of different organizations that are implementing learning clusters already and seeing the impact. When I think about the future of the LCD model and the work we're doing, it is to lift the L&D industry and to really help us evolve into the future. You might be wondering how all of the stuff I do works together. Me as a speaker, me focusing on future of work, me doing my organizational consulting, and now this whole L&D thing. Well, here's the thing. Like many things in our organizations, we treat things as silos. Especially in the industrial age, we were used to creating training and you send people to it and it's just another compartment in your organization. Well, with the future of work, that's not how things are operating anymore. Everything is really intermingled and our awareness is growing around how all of these different pieces related to people need to work together in order to help our businesses succeed and in order to help our people succeed. So everything I'm doing related to OD, it has to do with stepping back and seeing all of these pieces related to organizations and figuring out, how do they relate to one another? How do they reinforce one another? And L&D is just one of those pieces. The truth is, L&D as a field is becoming a little bit outdated. The idea of sending someone to training or to take a course online even, it's just not the way people learn. When you look at how people learn personally, it's so different. They learn on their schedule. They learn through a variety of means based on what they need and want. And we as L&D need to start delivering that type of learning asset across the flow of work rather than delivering one thing. So we really see LCD as the future of the industry. And we expect it to be the standard that we all go by in the future. There's a couple of ways you can engage with the learning cluster design model. Of course, there's the book that's coming out soon. There's also on our website, you can see all of our latest blogs. You can keep up to date with our research. And even more so, a lot of times the best way to learn is to do. And with that in mind, we have an expert consultant team who can help you deliver your first learning cluster in the here and now. We love to partner with L&D teams and really help teach you the model as we do it together for some of your most complex challenges. If you want to take action, you got to take action now. Okay, when you listen to things like this, unless you take action now, it just disappears. You can go to Amazon, Designing for Modern Learning Beyond Addie and Sam. You can find it there. You can look it up under my name. Pre-order it now so it shows up on your doorstep the day that it's released.